Hi dears, welcome to my channel. Today I am taking class 10, lesson number 7. How do organisms reproduce? Okay, what was the sixth lesson? It was control and coordination. Do you remember? There I have asked you 3 questions. It's the time to answer these questions. First question was, the movement of the sunflower in according to the pathway of the sun is called dash. Movement of the sunflower according to the path of the sun is called dash. The answer is what ma? Phototropism. Okay. Posture and balance of the body is controlled by dash in the brain. It is cerebellum, isn't it? And the third one is, which is not an involuntary action. Options were vomiting, salivation, heartbeat, chewing. Which is not an involuntary action. Vomiting, salivation, heartbeat, chewing. Chewing is not an involuntary action. Okay. Now we are moving to the lesson 7. What was that one? How do organisms reproduce? It's a little big lesson. So I have parted it into 2. That is part A and part B. In part A, we are discussing the reproduction, importance of reproduction, asexual reproduction, types in asexual reproduction, then sexual reproduction, then pollination in flower. The rest of the part will be seen in part B. Okay, shall we start the class? How do organisms reproduce? What is reproduction, ma'am? It's a biological process, isn't it? It's a biological process in which organisms produce new organisms of their own kind. You will write everything. It's a biological process. You will write the organism produce new organism. That also you will write, but you will forget to write this one word. What is that? Of their own kind, isn't it? It should not happen because it is having value. From a monkey, a human will not come, isn't it? From a mosquito, a cockroach will not come. So it is capable of producing new organism of their own kind is very, very important. So you have to write that. Okay, that is what it is called a reproduction. Is it an essential life process? You may have learned about the life processes, right? Breathing, then what? Circulatory system, everything, respiration. All these are essential life processes. If it is not there, you will not be able to survive. But if reproduction is not there, there is no that much problem. There is not an essential life process, but it is necessary. It is necessary for what purpose? It is necessary for the continuation of the species. If a human species has to be continued, reproduction is necessary. For any species to continue in earth, the reproduction is necessary. So, it is also very important. Okay, ma'am? Okay. You have learned about the DNAs and all, isn't it? One character of a person is determined by the DNA, isn't it? It can be not only applicable for human but also applicable for all the living organisms. DNA is present inside the cell of every organism and it determines the character. So when a new organism is reproduced, will the DNA be identical? Never. DNA will be copied, but DNA will be similar to the parent, but it will not be identical of that parent. Okay, Kanna? DNAs will be similar, but it will not be identical. So what will be the result? It results in variation. This variation helps for the evolution. There is a confusion, right? I will explain. Consider a room having 20 mosquitoes. Okay. So what I am doing? I am putting a mosquito bat, or to say a mosquito coil I have kept. I have kept a mosquito coil inside the room and I closed the room. Okay. Out of 20, 17 died. But the 3 survived. Okay. If the 3 has been survived, the rest of all 17 has been dead. But this 3 is having variation in DNA from the other. That results in the survival of it. Did you get, ma? If all the 20 has been dead, we can understand understand that the mosquito coil is enough for killing all the mosquitoes. But it is not happening. Many will be dead, but a little or a few will survive. Because when the condition is varied, there should be a sustainability of the life. It will be possible only when the DNA is variable. If the gene will be varied. Okay, so variation is very essential. If the variation is there, it helps for the evolution of the life. Did you get ma? Is it clear now? So, variation will be caused if the DNA is not identical. So, from every parent, when the child is born, it will not be having the identity. The DNA of the child will not be identical from that of parent, even though the reproduction is asexual or sexual. Did you get ma? Okay. Now we are moving for asexual reproduction. What is asexual reproduction? Easy for you, right? Only one parent is involved. But what is the important criteria for the asexual reproduction? The parent should be matured. The single parent, when matures, will be able to divide to give birth to new individual. It is called what, ma? It is called asexual reproduction. So, much more energy and much more time is not needed for it. Only one condition is there. The parent has to be matured. When it is matured, it can divide by itself to a multiple organisms. Okay, that is called asexual reproduction, and it is a simple one. And we are dividing it into 6 classes, isn't it, ma? We are dividing it into 6 classes, and I am running all the classes. What they are, I am just explaining. Okay, ma? So, I am asking you whether variation will be more in the case of asexual. Variation will be less. Why? Because the parent is single. From single parent, the DNA, what will the DNA? The DNA will be replicated, and the DNA will be similar. But there is no much variation because only single parent is involved. So the variation is less. So the evolution also will be very less. This asexual reproduction can be seen maximum in unicellular organism and in multicellular organism to a little extent it will be seen. Okay. These are some other points to know. Then first one is fission. What is fission? Fission means what? Splitting. Splitting of one into two or many. Okay. Consider a batter. It will be your mother may have made the batter and you are taking 2 hands and making it into 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6. It is what, ma? Fission. That's it. Simple. Splitting. Splitting of one into many is called what, ma? Fission. It can be of 2 types, binary and multiple. What is the meaning of binary? By 2. It is not buying and giving. It is by bi means 2. 1 into 2 is what, ma? Binary fission. What is that? Just make the things easy so that it will be very quickly understood by you. Okay. 1 into 2 is what, ma? Binary fission. What is the example? Amoeba. Yeah, everything you have learned in smaller classes itself. First nucleus will be split. Then cytoplasm also will be moving into 2 and then split into 2. That's it. Okay. Our atta batter. It is splitting like that. 1 into 2. Okay. This is binary fission. Multiple fission. Multiple. Single into many. That is what, no? Multiple fission. What is the example? Plasmodium is the example for that. You have to read. You have to understand. Okay, ma? Fission is over. Now moving for budding. What is budding? Every organism, not every organism, it is also seen in unicellular organism more. Fission also can be seen more in unicellular organism. Here also unicellular organism. To say hydra. When the hydra mature, a bud will be arising from the side. When it is also matured, it will be split out of the hydra. So from one hydra, much more buds can be formed and splitting will be happening. This is what, ma? Budding. Okay, like the bud, it is also arises. Then the third is spore formation. What is spore formation? It's very easy, Kanna. Consider dandelion. Dandelion you have learned, right? It's a kind having seeds in the head. Seed-headed plant. When we are blowing it, the seeds will go and will spread. Isn't it? It will spread in the air. It will go and it will spread and it will travel and it will settle down somewhere. From there, the plant will come. Like that, Like that, here also spore formation. In some plant, in some organisms like fungi, rhizopus, like that, when they are growing and when they got matured, at the head there will be many spores. Spores will be there. Okay? Not single, much more spores will be there. When the spores get matured, what will happen? It will be moving away from it. And wherever the spores are settling down, from there plants will arise. Or fungi or rhizopus, anything will arise. It is what marks spore formation. Remember dandelion in your mind. Like that. Like that it will be. Okay, ma? Fourth one is fragmentation. What is fragmentation? Cutting into pieces. When an organism is cut into pieces, from each piece, the organism will grow. It is what? Fragmentation. Spirogyra is an excellent example for that. It is mainly occurred in multicellular organism. The unicellular organism will not do. Why? Because these fragments should have separate cells. In a unicellular organism, it's not working. So, in multicellular organism like Spirogyra, what will happen? It is a kind of algae present in water. When it is grown, when it matures, it will be splitted. Because the water is there, no, in the waves of water, it will split and move to different places. From wherever the pieces are there, from that, much more will be created. It is what, ma? It's an example. Spirogyra is an example. Regeneration means a part will be regenerated. To say our lizard, isn't it? If the tail is gone, after some days you can see a new tail coming. A small tail can be seen. After 1 month and all, this tail will be proper. It is what, ma? Regeneration. Instead of this tail, if one leg is gone for this lizard, is it possible for the leg to come again? No. Why? Because regenerative cells, wherever it is present, this regeneration will occur. Okay? Not in all parts, ma. Wherever the regeneration cells are there, the regeneration will occur. In the case of the case of lizard, it is possible. And not only that, for planaria, starfish and all, from the part which has been lost, regeneration will be occurred. Now, we are seeing about the vegetative propagation. It is mostly seen in plants. What is this vegetative propagation? It is the formation of new plants from the vegetative parts. It can be of two types, by natural way and by artificial way. The natural way is by root, stem and leaves. The roots of some plants or stem of some plants or leaves of some plants do this vegetative propagation. For example, bryophyllum. In it, from the parts of the leaf, when the leaf is lying down in the soil, from the end of the leaves, the new plants will start growing. Okay. In the case of sweet potato, from the root, if the root is detached and the root is in the soil for some time, from the root new plant will be grown. To say turmeric, in the case of ginger, for these, from the stem, the new plant can be generated. This is the natural way. Then the second one is artificial. Here we have to take part, or we have to do something for the generation of a new plant. What is that? First one is cutting. When we are cutting the stem of a plant and we are keeping it in the soil, after some days, the new plant will be coming out. Grafting. Grafting means two plants has to be taken, and in first plant, the stem has to be cut in a layer, and the second part of the plant, the stem of the second plant should be kept inside, and we have to overlap it. When we are doing in such a way, this is just like the tissue culture. After that, the new plant will be growing, which will be having the character of these two plants. This is grafting. And then layering. When the plant is growing, the stem part are keeping it inside the soil, and we are putting some soil above it, so that from this part, the roots starts growing. So, the new plant can be developed from that. This is this we are saying it as layering. So, cutting hibiscus can be grown by this cutting. Grafting, rose can be grown by this grafting, and by layering, jasmine plant can be grown. Okay. All these we have discussed. Now we are moving to see the sexual reproduction. In the case of sexual reproduction, two parents are involved. Okay, two parents of the same species but having different sexes, isn't it? Opposite sex, male and a female, should involve in the sexual reproduction. So what happens? The new organism will be having the character of these two. You will be having the character of your father as well as mother, right? How it is coming, we are seeing in detail about it. Okay, ma? In the case of sexual reproduction, what happens is the DNA, as we know, everyone is having their unique DNA, isn't it? So there will be single DNA for father. One DNA strand will be common for the father and one DNA strand for the mother. When it fuses, what will happen? Two DNA strands will be formed, right? It should not happen. Every individual will be having one set of DNA, one unique DNA will be present. So how can it be? Actually, for the male and female cells, reproductive cells, when fuse, what will happen? The fertilization will cause and the new individual will be grown. In the case of these reproductive cells, we are saying it as gametes, half DNA will be present. So half DNA of the father and half DNA of the mother will be there. When they fuses, a single DNA will be formed. This is the DNA will be seen for the individual who is coming or who is born. Okay, this is how it will be. So what I am saying is, as two DNA strands are involved, variation will be more or less. It will be more. There, in the case of asexual reproduction, only single parent was involved. So DNA was just the replication of that. As I told you, it was the DNA will be similar, but it will not be identical. But in the case of sexual reproduction, DNA of the father and DNA of the mother is involved, so variation will be a lot. When variation is a lot, evolution also will be maximum in the case of sexual reproduction than in asexual reproduction. This is the important point which you have to note. Okay, ma? Then, female gamete. What is the specialty? Not only in human but also for almost all organisms which are reproducing sexually. Female gamete will be much more large in size. It will not be able to move anywhere, and it will be able to store food. Female gamete will not be able to move. Female gamete will be bigger in size and it will be able to store food. But the male gamete will be, what will be its speciality? Male gamete will be small. It will be motile. What is the meaning of motile? It will be able to move. Okay. The male gamete is the one who is coming towards the female gamete. What will be happening after that? When the male gamete and female gamete was joined together, they will fuse to form the single cell. We are saying it as zygote. Zygote will divide. Single cell will divide to form embryo. From this embryo, the new organisms will be evolved. Okay. So, this is the way, this is what happening in sexual reproduction. We are seeing the sexual reproduction in flowering plants. Okay. Actually, flowering plants are the one in which the reproduction is caused by sexual method, which means male gamete will be there, female gamete will be there, and the male gamete will be more mobile or motile, and it will transfer to the female gamete and fusion will occur. Then what happens? Then zygote will be formed, embryo, and the child is not formed, instead the seed is formed and the fruit will be there for covering it. So all these should happen in plants or flowering plants. Why flowers are there in plants? Any idea? Flowers are there to not for the girls to keep in the head, but it is having its own purpose. Actually, the flower will be containing the male gamete and the female gamete. So, the pollination has to occur. What is the pollination? The fusion of the male gamete and the female gamete should occur. So, who There should be some agents for that. To say insects, birds and all. For that the birds and the insects should come and sit over the flower in order, due to the attraction is the first one, and the second one, to get nectar from it. Nectar is the sweet liquid present in the flowers. So in order to drink this nectar, the birds as well as the insects will come and sit on the flower. As we know, the pollen grains are the one. The pollen grains are the one which is having the male gamete. So when they are sitting for sucking, their legs or their wings will be having this pollen grains, and this pollen grains will be transferred from the male reproductive part to the female reproductive part. For that purpose, this flower, that much attractive flower is present in every plant. So what will happen? The net result will be this male gamete will get inside to the female gamete and it will fuse, and the ovary will be, the zygote or the seed will be created. Okay. For that the plants are having flowers. Okay. Then, as I told you, the flowers will be having male as well as female gamete. We are dividing the flowers into two: unisexual flowers and bisexual flowers. There are some flowers which will be having only male gamete either, or female gamete. Some flowers will be having male gamete and some flowers will be having female gamete only. They are called unisexual flowers. It will be seen in the case of papaya. Okay, the male gamete, some flowers will be having male gamete only. Some flowers will be having female gametes. Okay, bisexual flowers. We usually say about hibiscus, isn't it? Hibiscus is the one which is having both the male reproductive part as well as female reproductive part in the same flower. The male reproductive part is called stamen and the female reproductive part is called pistil. Okay. The stamen will be having two substances, filament and anther. Anther contain pollen grains. The pollen grains are the reproductive cells. Okay. So, or we are saying it as germ cells. It will be transferred to the female part. It has to be transferred to the female reproductive part. This is called what, ma? This is called pollination. Okay. Pollination can be of two types: self-pollination and cross-pollination. What is this self-pollination? The pollination which is happening in the same flower. Okay. This is called self-pollination, and the cross-pollination means from different flowers it is coming and the pollination will be happening. It is called cross-pollination. And how the zygote is formed, and how the seed and the fruit is formed in the flowers, and how the human are able to reproduce. All these we are learning in part B.